Chip, I think I finally figured out why so many people are frustrated with XRP. Every time Ripple announces something positive, the comments are always exactly the same. You know, you've heard them. Great. So why didn't XRP move? Another partnership, no price action. Another announcement, still nothing. I get it. But I think the question is causing people to completely miss what's actually happening.
Yeah, but I think it's a fair question. As a matter of fact, when good news comes out, there's always a drop in price, which is very strange. And if Ripple keeps announcing these partnerships like they do, RLUSD keeps expanding, more adoption. You got the XRP, ledger. It seems like it's growing at a pretty good clip and a rate, and a lot of stuff's added. I mean, shouldn't the market care? I mean, why shouldn't people ask that?
I'll tell you, because I actually think that we're measuring Ripple by the wrong scoreboard altogether. This week alone, the XRPL Foundation, OpenUSD, RLUSD, credit on the XRP Ledger, everybody looked at those as four separate stories. I don't think they actually are. I think they're actually four pieces of the exact same strategy.
So what you're saying is, instead of like asking like why didn't XRP move, maybe we should be asking, what is Ripple actually building?
Exactly. And actually, once you start looking at it that way, today's headlines will tell you a completely different story. And I really hope people are going to get this. If you're enjoying what we do, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help support On the Chain. That's right. The AI crew, Chip, knows this very well, as I do. They're actually still demanding raises, which is really impressive considering not one of them has actually figured out how to make coffee yet.
Not only have not figured out how to make coffee, but Fable has been clocking out and timing out and going on strike, which is not good at all. It's not good when you
so frustrating.
when you one shot a prompt with a loop command and that sucker gets hung up, and you realize, well, you could have had an extra 2 or 3 hours while you were sleeping of great stuff, but instead it died.
Timed out. Yeah,
we got more to
minutes.
talk about. We're not going to talk about Claude Code or Claude Fable today, but we got a lot to talk about. Let's workshop it. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Hey, welcome to On the Chain. I'm Jeff, here with co-host Chip. What's going on, Chip?
What's going on, Jeff? I'm doing all right. I am, Chip. This is the 4th of July. Everybody's celebrating with us tonight. It's always interesting growing up with the 4th of July because a couple days before my birthday. Birthday's on Tuesday. Somebody sent me a birthday greeting today, and they said, "Happy birthday." And I was like, dude, it's not till Tuesday. You're the first one. And I realized, oh, no, it's the 250th anniversary of our nation. And Jeff, when you said something before, like, the intro kind of hit me a little bit. You were talking about like measuring Ripple by the wrong scoreboard, like go a little bit more beyond. Like, what were you thinking by that?
Actually, I think that and that's everybody within the community, I know we've been guilty of this also, we actually judge every Ripple announcement by one thing. Did XRP go up, right? And if the answer is no, we all assume the news didn't matter, or maybe the market wasn't reacting to the news, or something is completely wrong. But what if Ripple isn't actually trying to win today's news cycle? Now, what if they're actually building the infrastructure that institutions are going to be using for the next decade? That's why I really wanted to start with the XRPL Foundation interview, because Brett Molan wasn't talking about hype. He was actually talking about why the XRPL, or the XRP Ledger, was designed for a traditional finance from day one. And I really think that's how we start looking at every Ripple story this week. But I think if we really go back in time, it all stacks up, amounting to the same thing.
Yeah, and I think after we get through that too, the OpenUSD announcement, there's some new stuff on RLUSD, and then other thing we teased earlier, which is credit on the XRP Ledger, which is all cool, and it's all fitting into place. I love these announcements. I love everywhere that these stories kind of lead us.
That's it, and that's exactly it. So let's kind of start right about there. We've got the XRPL Foundation, a lot of things that are starting to all kind of fall into place.
Yeah, and what I like about Brett Molan, who spent, I think it was 11 or 12 years over at Ripple, what I really like about it is the fact that he and I was fortunate to have him host him on a space, which was fantastic, that did with Zhao Dao. And which I really like about this guy is that this is what true leadership looks like. This is a guy that understood very intimately the XRP ledger in a way that nobody can. Maybe somebody like Vat, maybe someone like, their current acting CTO. I think it's really important that, to me, this is what leadership kind of looks like. And this guy is doing everything he can to get out there and make sure the XRPL has visibility. And it's also, people are building on it. He's out there promoting it. And it's the right kind of leadership, because this is a guy that understands it very, very well. He wasn't imported from another chain. He wasn't somebody that spent some time. So let's watch this clip with Brett Molan. And it's a really good interview. You guys can search out the interview. You can go to RippleX, and I think they posted it, and it's Ripple too. But I like this guy. I think this guy is bringing some great direction to the XRPL Foundation.
Always the ledger that was working with traditional finance. And this is an area that the XRP Ledger has always been a leader. And I think the rest of the industry is finally coming along. I'm Brett Molan. I'm the executive director of the XRP Ledger Foundation. I think one of the most important things to consider here is that this industry is maturing. And as these institutions are looking at different ledgers, I want them to look at the XRP ledger and say that this is the safest, this is the most secure, this is the most compliant ledger that I can use. And it takes an organization to kind of manage that. That helps people who want to build on these networks. They couldn't do it themselves. Citibank, if they do their own blockchain, it's not going to be an open decentralized blockchain. Other people probably aren't going to jump on board. The XRP Ledger Foundation adds that neutral party from day one. It's always been that if I had any asset, that could be a bond or a stablecoin, and that asset has a market to XRP, the ledger automatically looks at all the markets to XRP and bridges them together through XRP. Everyone who uses the XRP ledger can now use that liquidity, right? So they're supporting their business, but other people can piggyback on that liquidity. As more and more of those pairs get created, we start connecting more and more assets together. And it would be very difficult to have markets between all of those assets directly. Bridging through XRP is much more efficient. The people who are, launching new products, it's really about having a safe, secure base for them to build on it. Also, but incorporating new features so it doesn't get out of date. Contributing to the ledger, adding a new feature, it's actually really expensive. Many people can write this code, but it has to go through a quality assurance process, and it has to go through security audits. So the foundation's there to put in that kind of support, to review the code, to do the security audits, and to enable people who probably wouldn't be able to contribute to the ledger to contribute to it. One big message I'd like to give out to people and to organizations is, if you'd like to run a validator, if you'd like to be a part of this community, and we're here to talk to you. The foundation is also engaging over a dozen different vendors on separate projects. So rather than building a massive team, the foundation is trying to give back to the community by using the firms, the vendors in the community to do things.
Your thoughts about that, Jeff?
Man, it's solid. I really, I like what he had to say. I think, super important, as we really start focusing on it, and really to the point, some of the things that we were, just talking about, we were just bringing up, it's kind of spot on.
Yeah, it's great. And like I said, this is why I think it's the right leadership, and it's the right time for the XRPL Foundation, because they've just went through a big sort of change up, and they kind of just brought all new people in. And of course, now you have Vet over there as well. Then he's fantastic. He's been one of the best sort of purveyors of the XRPL, and it's a builder as well. So it's just really fantastic to see this kind of momentum building. And I also love to see, in the bigger grand scheme of things. Now, this is a different story here that we're going to get into, and we're going to connect the dots on this one, because people are wondering, well, what does this mean, and why are so many companies involved in this? But talking about this new thing that kind of came out the other day, we ended up watching USA play on Wednesday night that coincided with the time of our normal show. So Jeff and I were watching that.
What a game. Holy cow.
What a game. What a phenomenal game. Except for the red card, that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Except for that.
But that's what I call some major BS. And it's funny, Alexi Lawless was on that program, and then you don't see him on the he criticized pretty heavily the ref, and you don't even see it. I don't know what happened to him, but he's no longer there. But this open standard just came out. It's like, well, what is this? Today we're announcing OpenUSD. What's this? A new stablecoin for global economy movement. You're like, oh no, not another stablecoin. Why do we have another stablecoin? And then here's like the whole, reason for it. They're going to build for scale. You can earn by default, govern collaboratively, and existing stablecoins have great strength, but to use them at scale, businesses need something that's open, low cost, and high throughput, broadly accessible and aligned to their interests. It's Zach Abrams, and he's the founding CEO of Open Standard. We're thrilled to bring together over 140 businesses, and of course, Ripple's part of that. But they're all the names you recognize, Jeff: Visa, Stripe, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, Fiserv, which is massive, Aiden, Cloudflare, all these amazing, Klarna, pretty much anybody that you can imagine in fintechs are here. Banks like Neum, you got MoneyGram, you got Worldline, Galileo, it's just like there's a whole and then look who's behind this. You got BlackRock, BNY, Standard Chartered, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, you got the Mitsu Financial Group, like just these massive names. Look at the names behind this. It's just incredible. Bancorp, Nedbank, all these amazing structures. Then start looking at tech companies: Google, Samsung, IBM, Shopify, Mercado Libre, Mercado Pago. You got Infosys. Then you start looking at the exchanges like Coinbase, so this is big. Then you look at, you have Solana's in there, OKX, Ripple, Crypto.com, Fireblocks. And so you're like, well, what is this? What is this whole thing? And they go on about talking about a little bit about earning here. They talk about stable coins, and they talk about the breakthrough technology and but why would they get 140 of these across a wide spectrum? Everybody from the largest banks in the world to the largest fintechs to the largest crypto exchanges. And well, Ripple kind of talked about this too. They said stablecoins are transforming how value moves, and interoperability is the key to institutional scale. And they're proud to join OpenUSD as a day one integration partner, reinforcing Ripple's commitment to open multi-chain infrastructure. Monica Long, president of Ripple, said the future of payments will be multi-chain, interoperable, and built on institutional grade blockchain infrastructure. And the focus is simple: continuing to make the XRPL, which we just were chatting about with Brett Molan, the leading blockchain for institutional payments and natural home for the next generation of key regulated stablecoins, all the while growing the utility, key, and adoption of RLUSD and XRP around the world. Now, this guy kind of put it into perspective here, Jeff. He's like, in the US, it's illegal for a stablecoin to pay you interest.
Right.
The issuer takes your dollars. They're the ones that earn the yield, right? We talk about
making the money. Look how they set that up. They stacked it. Stacked against us.
The deck. Right. And so in 2025 law bars it from paying you a cent. So on June 30th, 140 of the largest companies on earth announced a coin built to capture that yield for themselves. This is what you call one-upping the banks, because you can do a lot of things in the world, but what you can't do is outsmart the tech companies, the bigger banks. So you're not going to out-tech, but the big one here, and the banks that are involved in this are the banks that are involved in blockchain. That's a key distinction here. So he says, let's start with the prize. A stable coin is a dollar that you swap for a token. The issuer parks your dollar in a treasury bill at 4 to 5% and then keeps the interest. Now, Tether did this so well that it cleared $13 billion in 2024. One of the highest profits per employee in business history of any business, Jeff. You think about it. Like,
could you imagine? Now, think about the deception that this is creating. So think about how overall across the board, the politicians are stacking the deck once again against the people. Why? Because they're appeasing the legacy stranglehold on, or the legacy banking infrastructure stranglehold on power. So if they want to do that, and I get it from a bank, if you own banks, if you're in banking and you're thinking about stability of your financial infrastructure and you want that legacy system to persist a little bit longer, if you roll out and allow people to gain interest and yield on stablecoin today, it would potentially destabilize the traditional infrastructure, because everyone would move their money over to stablecoin. Say, screw you, I'm getting 4 or 5.5%. I'm maintaining 100% control over my asset. So what do? They went the exact opposite, and they went the other way, which is forget the people, forget the money they hold, forget letting them gain any type of benefit from the stablecoin they hold. Let's give it all to the banking infrastructure, which is also the wrong way to go. And so there has to be potentially a happy median if we're going to be using infrastructure that somebody else built in order to house our stable assets or our assets. And infrastructure is computer-based infrastructure. Think about all the power and everything that has to go behind it. Shouldn't they earn something for building that infrastructure? But should we be gouged of every last cent? Isn't there a tipping point where the consumer says, hey, you know what, screw you, we're going to go elsewhere? And this is where we're starting to see, I believe, we're going to see some changes. It's got to be, you've got to be able to operate with our money and say, you know what, we're not going to put up with this. Our government representatives, which most of them don't represent us, so maybe they should, change their names. They're no longer representing the public that elects them, and that across the spectrum, doesn't matter what party they belong to, even though most on the left don't represent the people. They just represent their own personal interests. But we see a lot on the right. Now, this is a perfect example, which is why, Chip, you and I always go into the geopolitics of the crypto asset, because this is where it's critical. Like right here, right now, it's not, hey, when is the Genius Act going to get passed? But it's, hey, when are we actually going to be moving the needle as people? I know that one passed, but just how are we, the people, going to move the needle in our favor? And how are we going to bring it to the ballot box? But how are you going to impress on your state representatives, at the state level, right? Make sure that there's changes at the state level, but then go to your congressman's office, go knock on their door, go make yourself known. If you're the one that has the knowledge, go educate them and say, look, I'm not going to put up with your bullshit anymore. I'm not going to let you feed the banks. I want you to feed the people. We're the ones that elect you, not the bank, even though the bank's the one that's paying you. But you know what? Those $25, $50 donations are the ones that also keep them in office. Without those $25, $50 donations, you know what? We're going to find somebody else, or we're going to push for redistricting, like just happened in Florida. And, we're going to push people out that way.
Yeah, get them out right here. And it's funny that Mimi says the club wins. Who would have guessed that? Yeah. And so something about Tether. Tether holds roughly 141 billion in U.S. Treasury, and that's the 17th largest holder of U.S. government debt on earth.
Huge.
It charges no fees, pays holders nothing. The float is not part of the business. It is the business. And the part that rewrites history is the law itself. So the Genius Act, which you brought up, right? Signed into law in July 2025. Hard to believe it's been a year already. Makes it unlawful for a stablecoin issuer to pay interest to the people holding the coin. But it binds only the issuer. This is important. Route that same yield to a partner on an exchange, and the statute goes silent. That gap is the entire design of OpenUSD. It mints and it redeems free and sends the reserve income to 140 partners who drive adoption, Ripple being one of them, Coinbase being one of them, names like Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, BlackRock, Coinbase, American Express, not to you. This is important. Not to you. You're barred from earning interest. Guess what? They are not. And so this is not democratizing the float. It's the loophole, industrialized. And these same firms are already inside the old game. BlackRock manages Circle's reserves. Coinbase already collects a slice of Circle's interest that grows with how much of the stable coin sits on Coinbase. And they're not disrupting the incumbents. They're scaling the trick and keeping the yield among themselves. None of this touches Tether yet. It sits offshore. It's beyond genius with 570 million users and an emerging market moat that the U.S. consortium reaches. And it's launching a compliant U.S. coin of its own. OpenUSD is a couple days old here. It's not live. It's the plumbing. It's not a token to buy. Anyone selling you OUSD today is selling a scam. But to strip the press release, the structure is bare. The law decided you can't earn interest on your own dollar. Well, the biggest firms in finance just built the machine to earn it for themselves. And guess what? This is what always happens, Jeff. We always talk about this. If you put up a wall, people figure out how to dig under it, to go through it, go around it. And when you put something like that up, they create this, and it becomes stronger than had you allowed people just to earn, because they're worried about outflows of the bank, which you mentioned earlier, Jeff. They're worried about people destabilizing. But the funny thing is like, well, crypto's volatile, but you can earn yield. You can earn between 7-8% on crypto. A lot of different places, sometimes higher than 9, as high as 9 and 10, but the 4 to 5%, usually around 4.5%. Banks are keeping that for themselves, and they're still pulling this. So you put a deposit on Friday, that money is not going to be available till Monday. So we can earn interest on your hundreds of millions of dollars that sit there for 3 days at 4.5%, which is what they do. They don't have a good, they don't have a good, a good way to earn money, and they better change quick because they're going to be left behind.
Well, that's it. And so they overcorrected it. The overzealot, focus on maintaining the infrastructure, picking winners over losers. This is tried and true throughout history. We've seen government deciding who they want to win, who they want to lose. Government has chosen banking infrastructure over the people. That's hands down 100% accurate. The government is not in favor of the people earning their own interest, their own yield, and trying to grow their own nest egg. They make it extremely difficult. They wrote regulatory framework. You think about, the accreditation system to invest in stock pre-IPO. The deck is stacked against most people to be able to do that. These things have to change. That's what blockchain was about. That's why we still need regulatory infrastructure to grow it. But at the same point, we need to get this overall focus on board. There was a period of time, and I believe we're still there, but now it's slipping away, where government infrastructure is stepping in and dictating the direction that the crypto blockchain markets are going. And we can see that even like with a Coinbase, when they went public, it got sucked into that category. Even, there was some hope that maybe they would start purchasing banks and things would be different. Maybe Ripple could do it. Maybe, Kraken can do it. Maybe Gemini could do it. They've got to start ratcheting up at some point. We're getting to that tipping point where the banking infrastructure has to start, it has to get acquired by these entities. But in order for that to happen, there has to be regulatory clarity. There has to be some clear distinction. And also we have to have the right political class or the right politicians in place in order to move the needle in the direction that we wanted to move it. Right now, if you have like New York City going the wrong way, New York State gone the wrong way, Chicago, Illinois completely going the wrong way. They're putting things in place that are going to make it extremely difficult for people to want to stay in general, but also making it more difficult for you to maintain your crypto asset in those states. Why? Because they're going completely nut job left, socialist, communist. And so any chance they get to take your money, crypto and the blockchain was meant to provide transparency and put the hands back into the power of the people. But that power has to be controlled. We have to be able to figure out how that gets managed. And something small like this with stablecoin, I get both sides of it. I understand why, we can't have a run on the banking infrastructure. We don't want everyone pulling their money out of the banks because that'll create a destabilization of the economy in the short run. Obviously, in the long run, it's going to be beneficial. But in the short term, people start pulling money out of the banks, and our entire infrastructure and economy is established based on legacy, not based on crypto, or blockchain or stablecoin. So there has to be a period of time, and we got to figure out what that is. We can't let the government get away with giving the banks all of our money. That just there's no stability there. It makes no sense.
Well, look at this. I love this comment here by Jeff TZ8FH. I don't know what that means, but he said, happy 250th to the greatest civilization ever. 100% right. We're going to get into that today. We're going to workshop it. We're going to talk about why the world exists today. Because if people want to dog on the U.S., I guess what? No U.S. There's chaos, man. There's chaos. It ends at World War II. It's over at World War II, basically. And he says it'll be hard to keep it going, but if we built this amazing country out of nothing, we can keep it going. Just a little bit of history here. So Ben Franklin, back in 1787, when he actually came out of, one of these big meetings, there was a constitutional convention that they had, and he was asked by a citizen, like, what kind of government do we have? Is it a parliamentary system? Is it a, you know, is it this, is it that? And he basically said it's a republic if you can keep it, right? So that has been the challenge of keeping it, because people do not know history. You know, people that don't know history, they say they're always doomed to repeat it. And there's a lot that will probably make a lot of ties together. But if you look at just from what's happened in this founding of 250 years and what this country has done and changed on earth, and what you see just happened in Peru, where you just had the right leader be that win the runoff, you see that there's this it's funny, USAID stopped, and all of a sudden we got count them, 7 people of the right governments in South America. South America is turning right, and you got that happening in Europe. It's a little bit slower. They got a little bit more. They're not as intelligent and bright, but they're also very laid back people. They just want to, you know, they're like, they don't want to get involved with government. We got more evidence of that today. There's a lot about that going on, but just to kind of move on with so Jazzy Cooper from Ripple said they're introducing a new primitive to XRPL, and that's credit now in voting. So he spent the last few years evolving the XRPL stack. You know, first of all, represent value, then move value, then trade value. Now it's finance value. This is the step that I become most interested in. She goes on. She says that credit is fundamentally a two-sided market. On one side, you have digital asset holders looking to earn yield, which we've been talking about. On the other, you have businesses that need fast, efficient access to capital. Both are still largely underserved by TradFi and dependent on infrastructure that wasn't built for on-chain assets. And the XRPL lending protocol is our attempt to rethink that. We made some deliberate design decisions, protocol native, built-in compliance, and off-chain underwriting to support durable institutional credit markets on a public blockchain. So I think that's a big deal right there. Another thing too is Ashish Burla, which we're still trying to get on the show.
We got to get him on. We got to hear about Evernorth.
So he's CEO, founder over there at Evernorth, but he says stablecoins like RLUSD can be a catalyst for strong on-chain ecosystem. And he goes on to break this down here under an Evernorth sort of a post where he says the worry we keep hearing is that RLUSD grows on XRP, RLUSD starts to eat XRP. We pulled every RLUSD trade on chain to check. So to date, the data shows exactly the opposite. And Jeff, we've heard this nonstop. Wow, it needs XRP, RLUSD. No one's going to use it, right? So I love this post that they're digging down a little bit. Does RLUSD eat XRP? The on-chain data says it's completely the opposite.
It's important.
Yeah, RLUSD went from under 1% of all trading on XRP to 12% in under 18 months. And then when people trade on XRP now, they're increasingly trading the dollar, and every one of those trades settles on XRP. And then you've got the RLUSD/XRP pair alone has cleared 900 million in 6 months. A deep market, dollar market on XRP didn't exist 18 months ago. It doesn't compete with XRP. It's built on it. And then you've got, this is how the dollar works on TradFi. One side of the 88% of all FX trades, everything routes through the deepest dollar pair. And on XRP, that pair is now RLUSD/XRP. That's how the dollar already works. And you have every trade that consumes a fee in XRP. Bigger dollar market, more XRP activity, deeper liquidity, and more XRP burn. More than half of the RLUSD now lives on XRP. Remember, it started out on Ethereum, but now it's on the XRPL. It's up from 17% in April. They kind of give a full breakdown in this right here. More than half of it lives there. So you see April 26 versus June of 2026. Pretty big thing. That's XRP share of RLUSD in circulation. And I would imagine it's only going to continue to grow from there, Jeff.
Yeah, this is, we really have to consider that this is infrastructure being built to scale, right? So it's not, they're trying to move the needle and trying, as they build infrastructure in and around the XRPL, in the utility of whether it's RLUSD or XRP or whatever the asset might be. It's all about bigger infrastructural growth. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. If we want to move away from a reactive, asset which is subjected to whatever the whim of the market is at that point, in terms of just buy paywalls and sell walls, and that's it. You know, if that's all we're gonna look at, then that's different. It's going to be very subjective, dictated by the whims of individuals. But if we want stability of asset, stability of infrastructure, then that's what we're seeing the XRPL is becoming. And companies like an Evernorth or a Ripple or others that are at Flare, another good example, utilizing the technology to further build infrastructure that's going to help our economy, help the big institutions. Now we're starting to see substantial growth within the space. Again, you know, if we just look at XRP, that's why kind of in our opening, it was all about, hey, why do people keep saying, hey, good news, but XRP didn't move? The good news isn't the needle that's going to move XRP. You know, it's not enough. The other thing is within the XRP community, which I think is different than with Bitcoin and Ethereum, is that you don't have as much movement. I think you have a lot more people just buying, holding, and not transacting with XRP. Whereas with Ethereum, it's been proven countless times over and over and over again that when there is something unique in the marketplace within the Ethereum networks, people will spend their Ethereum on whatever that was. Remember the crypto kitties, you know, early on, and then you had the NFTs, and people are spending their Ethereum. They're not just holding it. You know, they're looking to invest in other projects. They're taking it, you know, from one token asset, a new token asset comes up. Hey, let me invest some money in that. And they're all based on, right, on Ethereum, right? That's what they're built on. And so, you know, whenever you look at that growth of the ERC20s, we're not getting the same within the XRP community. It just doesn't happen. We don't see the level of support for small projects from the XRP community. Why? Because XRP community has always been 589. When is it going to moon? When am I going to, you know, make money off my asset? Whereas the Ethereum community is, hey, what other project can I invest in? How can I make more money in my Ethereum, on the Ethereum network with my money? And they're investing in all sorts of things. You know, Jeff, that's a big differentiator. You know, same thing with Bitcoin.
I think that's a huge differentiator, man. And it's like, it's what I love about doing the show. It's what I love about this sort of, we get to give our individual takes on what we see happening, because a lot of it's contrary to what you see a lot of the Moon Boys doing. But I saw this one streamer, and he gets bit by these, he always has an EpiPen, but he always, for clicks, he gets bit by these, like,
oh my God, I saw that.
This dangerous things. And I said, hey, if the Moon Boys ever get like worried, you know, that we're looking for clicks, they can always resort to this. He gets bit and he's in massive pain. And these creatures, man, like a brown recluse bites him, and then he gets some other, you know, bug and snake to bite him. And, you know, I'm like, what the, dude, I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. That's a tough way to make a buck. I mean, God bless him. But I think like the Moon Boys will do that next and be like, hey, I'm gonna get bit by a cobra and I'll have an EpiPen to save my life. You know, this is how it's become on there. But I think it's time to transition into there it is right there, Jeff. 250, baby, right there.
That's right. Happy birthday to America.
Even though it's younger, the 200th birthday. That's how old I am. I remember that. It was there's a big deal, and it's so funny back then. There's so much around the 200th birthday. And now it's kind of like nobody knows, nobody cares. And a lot of it is because the left took over the educational system, and they went from teaching a class called history to social studies. What is social studies? It's complete bullshit.
It's zero.
Right? This is Rubio.
It's what it is.
Here's Rubio's take on America, and this is fantastic.
Politics has made us crazy. Everybody in this country has lost their minds on politics, and we have forgotten that America is not a government. America's not a president. America's not a Congress. Let me tell you what America is. America's your family. America's your faith. America's your community. That's America. That's what our adversaries don't understand, and that's what we need to remember. That is how we're going to rebuild this country and turn the page and have a future even brighter than our past. And so that's why I feel so strongly about this.
Man, that's so solid, you know, so point on. Rubio has come so far. He's growing so much.
Next president, baby.
He's so passionate. I believe I definitely agree with you on that. Stacked up to become the next president. The most important part of all of this is really when we start looking at the leadership that is in existence today, and especially in South Florida, that are on the right, that are conservative, coming from all over Latin America. Right, the last meeting that I held, we have a whole bunch of candidates that are running in South Florida, all of them with South American background, every single one of them. And it's amazing because why? Because they understand what the left stands for. They understand conservative values. They understand what it means to build something. They understand what it means to build something from nothing. And it's such a differentiator. And then you look at the ones on the left, they're typically older, they're socialists, right? And they just don't stand for anything, right? Nothing. And we have to be very clear because we still have the Rhino Republicans. And, we have someone in the group that's actually running for office contrary to what the Republican Party in Broward County wanted. He's getting flack. Why? Because we're running him against a Republican. Why are we running against a Republican? Because that Republican's a rhino and doesn't stand for anything, doesn't support the values, and always sides with the left. So still getting flack from the party while running somebody. I mean, it's crazy. So here we are, what Rubio just said, the passion chip for America. I think we saw it so resolutely clear on YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video of the visitors that came in for the World Cup. Why? Because they saw America in a different light, and the leadership on the left has been dumbing down to the detriment of the public. People in Europe have been lied to, throughout the world have been lied to on the status of America. Why is it that European cities are being overrun by the Islamification, by the terrorist-backed Islamification that is trying to colonize all of Europe right now and destroy Europe? And you're seeing it coming from the leadership, bringing all these people in. Why is it? Because they believe they've been fed a lie that America's lost, right? They think that America fell, basically. So now you have all these people coming in from Europe and around the world, and they're like, oh my God, look how amazing America is. Look how friendly all the people are. Look how wealthy it is, right? Our wealth in this country, they just did another wealth analysis, not just of Britain, but of Canada. Canada doesn't even rate on our scale. They're below 50, right? The rest of the world doesn't even stack up to the United States. And that's what they're realizing.
Well, people don't understand, like the Europeans come here and they don't understand, like, why there's so many flags. My flag flies 365 days a year, baby. Every single day that flag's flying. I'm about to put another one on the other side of my house. And it's like, fly that. And they can't understand, why are people so proud of their country? Why? This is the greatest thought experiment it's ever been. And it is the culmination of the idea that rights are not given to you. They're not granted. Right. They're inherent. And you coming on this earth, you aren't, government doesn't decide to give you free speech. You have free speech. A government doesn't decide to let you defend yourself. You defend yourself, right? And this is why these other countries will fall. They will fall to Islamification. They will become Islamic states. And it's happened. It's like, look at Spain. And we have a history of it. We'll play a little bit of this later. But the whole idea of America is like, yeah, super proud to be American. I'll defend it against anything else. Is it perfect? No, man. It's not even close to being perfect. There are a lot of problems, yeah. But what you talked about, Jeff, was the most of the Europeans would go to big blue leftist crap cities that they left, right? Yep. Where you had the influx of migrants everywhere, dirty, disgusting. I mean, New York's one of the dirtiest cities I've ever seen. It's dirty. It's disgusting. They don't even understand the concept of pressure washer. It hasn't been pressure washed in 80 years. There's like soot on buildings that's over 100 years old. I mean, this is a disgusting place. Chicago, Los Angeles, you name the big ones. Let's see, Seattle, right? These are where they usually go, these big cities. And they go to Miami. They go, oh, Miami's great. The sun, this and that. But Miami's, is a very different from these other big cities. Now, when they get to the heartland, we got a video coming up where Spain created a video just to tribute for the people of Chattanooga, Tennessee, because, and it is mind blowing to see how a country like Spain would put together a video like this, and how these Europeans are so excited about it. Well, Trump spoke yesterday at Mount Rushmore, and they had quite the fireworks display there, Jeff. But I'm going to play a couple clips because I think this speech was really key and important, because it's a lot, and if you live outside the U.S., whether you like the U.S. or don't like the U.S. I think most of you guys have an affinity for it.
Everybody loves the U.S.
And I think that the better ideals of what comes here is spreadable. 250 years of a constitution written by the people, we the people, wasn't written by governments. And I have this fight every time with the Europeans. I go, who is your constitution written by? It was written by the people. Yeah, which people? The government people. It tells you what you can do, how you can do it. Ours tells the government what it can't do. And nobody in 250 years, as many countries and changes on earth, no one thought like, hey, why don't we adopt our own sort of constitution like the United States did? And innovation has thrived here. We are on the forefront of everything for a reason. And you know who does it? Americans. You know who those Americans are? The best of who came from the world to come to the U.S. People miss that point. They go like, oh, well, the Americans. Well, you know who the Americans are? The Americans are a mixing pot of people who love the United States. Yeah, you got the Islamists trying to fight. They're going to be knocked down, punched in the face. And I always say, with these Democrats, socialists, never interrupt your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. Let them run. Let them think this is going to play nationally. Let them go on a national level, because this stuff doesn't play in other places. Even for Democrats, they don't want it. But here's Trump. We've got a couple short clips here. These are great.
We must never forget there is.
That was an amazing comment. It's funny to me that whether maybe throwing it, not throwing it, but you got this guy. Ryan said, the U.S. sucks, buddy. I grew up here. This guy is completely off base, doesn't understand what he has. Probably has never traveled a day in his life, has never gone to another country, never seen how other people live, never lived how other people live, never spoken to other people in other countries that have come here and escaped socialism and communism. It's a typical leftist ideologue commentary where it's so obvious. When you say that, you have no clue. You've never studied history. You've never lived history. And this is the type of commentary that we go up against. It's amazing to me, that there's people like that are out there that don't have the passion for this country. Why? Because you're replaceable. You don't belong in this country. Go live someplace else. Go live in a socialist communist country. Then come back here and tell us how it is. I've volunteered to buy people one-way tickets before. You want to go live in Gaza? I'll buy you a one-way ticket. You want to go live in communist Cuba? I'll buy you a one-way ticket. But you get to go there with no money. You don't get to bring anything with you. You just get to go there and then figure it out when you get there and see how it is. These people are so irrationally deprived of any type of morality or education or knowledge. It's amazing to me. But those people are here in this country. It kills me.
Well, these are the same people, borders that want to overwhelm systems. It's so funny that once you got the illegals out, geez, the rent's dropped. How about that? That's how you would supply and demand. And look, it's our Opal Alchemist, which we haven't seen in a while.
Oh my God.
It's great to
I love Alchemist.
Alchemist is great. He goes up here, he shares his opinion. This is the thing, we talk about it, and like Ryan's free to share his opinion. You'll hear our opinion, whether you like it or not. But the thing is, this country is the greatest country on earth, whether you like it or not. But I don't see it moving anywhere else. Geez, and communist ones, the ones that love communism and socialism, just hasn't been implemented correctly, Jeff. If just use our way, it'll work out so well. We got Rep. J-Pal. She was asked the same thing. She couldn't come up with one country where socialisms work. But don't worry, they got Visual Vendetta says, funny how people never go to another country, never been to another country, talk about how much the United States sucks. Yeah, they sure do. It is funny how that sort of happens, right? I'm a union roofer. Trump is robbing you.
It.
Yeah, and he didn't make two crypto. The funny thing is, everyone wants to point to crypto. Number one, Trump divested all his things. You apparently don't understand. You haven't done your history on how a president becomes a president and what they do with their businesses. Now, what you do have is the Trump name. What you do have is two of the finest, sons running his company. You want to look at the father. You want to look at the sons, and you want to look at their kids. You want to see how they operate. Because look at how Biden's son operated. Look at how Jimmy Carter's, brother and kids operated. Look at how Bill Clinton and his kids, they're devoid of morals. They're devoid of any common sense. And they're just complete absolute losers. They believe that women can, men are women and women are men and all this other nonsense, right? So you're finally restoring some sanity back to the country. And what I like about Trump, and my wife even has a problem. She's like, but why does he have to be so this and that and brash? You know why? Because if you F with him, He punches you 2 times harder, 10 times harder. And every other time you had a Republican up there, they just sat around, looked the other way. Bush was a wussy, another jackass, rhino kind of a guy. And you had a guy like Reagan. Reagan didn't put up with the bullshit either from the media, right? He had a different tactic, but they come after him 24/7, hammer, 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 make up lies, 4 bullshit indictments, 3 assassination attempts, and you don't stop them. Well, they stopped Kennedy. Now you look at Kennedy today, Kennedy would be considered maybe a centrist, maybe a little bit to the right if you look at policy and where he stood. And Kennedy was the probably last great Democrat that there was. That's it, bar none. So. He was a great man.
No, he definitely was.
He was a great leader too. That was another thing about Kennedy. But let's watch a couple more of these.
Okay. Yet as we approach this magnificent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack. A generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism, there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success. These are not mere political disagreements.
Let me stop this for a second. So Alchemist says, stop by for the XRP pump. Later, right-wing. Here's the funny thing about the right-wing loons.
I love Alchemist.
Pretty much always right. In the left wing, when you point to successes, it's crickets. There is no success. It only leads to more, So what's that noise over there you got going on there?
What's that? Oh, the dog.
Oh, the dog's doing something.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, it's good seeing you, Alchemist. Thanks for stopping by for the pump.
Like differences over taxes or regulations, communism is a mortal threat to American liberty. It is the greatest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or even 9/11. We're not going to let this happen to us. Believe me, we're not letting it happen. Because communism is the enemy of free people everywhere in the world. Never works. It's the enemy of the Constitution. Above all, it's the enemy of July 4th, 1776. It is the enemy indeed. Even while the radicals and extremists attack our incredible history at every turn, they are silent on the miserable history of communism itself because it never worked.
Funny about that. When you start probing these people, Jeff, when a guy comes in and you guys are right, and you guys, well, they're not very studied, right? They don't really understand the fall of nations. They don't understand that in the eyes of democracy, which is fair and evil, what happens every democracy? Turns into dictatorship, Jeff. We don't have a democracy here. We have a constitutional republic, and that constitution binds that republic with some very amazing set of rules that tell the government to keep your place, shut up, and you shall not pass.
Thousands of years, if you look at it, under different names, under somewhat different ideologies and systems, that system has led to more death and destruction than any system ever tried. It killed 100 million people just in the last century alone. Communism is the exact opposite of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's death, tyranny, and the pursuit of evil. The godless communist morality states that anything is justified to bring about inhuman visions and to really propose what's good. They don't want good. They don't love God, and they don't want God. They don't love religion, and they don't want religion, and they won't have it. But we will not let them win. They have no chance against us. They have no respect for law, justice, principle, tradition, or your God-given rights. It's an ideology of mass theft, mass control, mass lies, and mass murder. Such doctrines can be given no quarter in a democracy because the first thing they do when they get into power is turn around and destroy it. It always is destroyed, just as communists have done in other countries all over the world, no matter where you look. Very simply, communism represents the worst ideas and abuses in history by the worst people. The American founding represents the best ideas and traditions in history by the best people like you. You can be loyal to Karl Marx, or you can be loyal to America. You can be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both. As for those who peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, who tell our children that we live on stolen land or that our heroes were oppressors, they're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not going to let that happen. They're trying to tear down the great American character, to destroy the people who declared independence, who crossed the Delaware, who settled the West and conquered the skies. You know who those people are. But we will never let that happen. Our American ancestors did not shed their blood at Concord and Trenton, Gettysburg and Shiloh, Midway and Normandy, just so that a band of thieves, radicals, and lunatics could come in and loot, pillage our nation. Our heroes died to win, build, and to save, and to build truly a great country, the greatest country ever in the world.
How can you not get behind this?
So on the eve of this 250th anniversary of American heritage, we resolve and swear for all to hear that the citizens of the United States of America will vanquish communism quickly. Don't let them take too much of your time. You know they're wasting your time, don't you? But we're not going to let them take too long or too much of our time as they play their games and send them into exile. We will send them quickly away, and we will continue to build our country bigger and better and stronger than ever before. America will never be a communist country.
There you go, Jeff. We'll never be a country.
Think about all the wars that have been fought, over this to liberate. We've liberated the world. Has the U.S. always done the right thing? Not 100%, but we've always been there at the time of need to make sure that we're fighting this leftist, communist takeover. Now is no different. We're starting to see an Islamist, colonialist mentality taking over the world. They're ramping up. Guess who's going to come to the salvation? I think Europe is reaching a boiling point right now. We've seen the marches and protests. We saw what happened in Northern Ireland when they started routing people out, burning down homes. That we're reaching a tipping point. We can't have chaos. Now the globalist leaders want chaos. I think visual vendetta, I'll give my feedback, Chip. I'm sure you have some good feedback too on this, but visual vendetta says, the question, why does the left want this country to fail? Not just talking about the leftist people, but the politicians. Now, a big part of that has been the dumbing down of America, right? It's multifaceted. A big part of it is the guilty conscience that we've been successful and leaving the rest of the world so far behind. So instead of figuring out how do we help these other countries rise up, they figured a way to oppress those people while bringing us down. A big part of it was all money. So you dry up the USA, get rid of the United Nations, get rid of the entities and organizations that are siphoning billions, if not trillions of dollars off the backs of the people, out of the governments to enrich others while they oppress specific groups and make them into permanent refugee status. Groups that shouldn't be refugees any longer because they could easily be assimilated into society, or they are oppressing countries to the point where it's detrimental to the longevity of that nation, where you could find a path to revegetate. There's a lot that can be done. It's difficult, but this is what's been happening. And now they've ratcheted it up. So before there was that gameplay, now they're ratcheting up and they're bringing these groups of people, they're bringing the third world into the first world. So again, instead of helping the third world become first world, they're taking third world and planting them in first world without assimilation in order to bring down the level of productivity and standards within the country. And we're seeing this on a global scale. Why are they doing it? I don't know. Maybe they're just evil. Maybe, it's all about control. And that's all they're thinking about. It's just power and control. It's a communist thought process. I mean, it's a really difficult, position.
I think Barack Hussein Obama was put in, the Manchurian candidate. Just the thing is, you get into a war with somebody and you surrender. Well, there goes your Constitution. It's all about, they hate the Constitution. They hate the electoral system. They want to have the majority because we'll manufacture as many ballots as we can. The majority wins, right? They want pure democracy. They always talk about democracy. This is not a democracy, people. You want a democracy, go live in a dictatorship, because those all started as democracies also. But no, it's a constitution republic. And no, you're not going to, it's so funny. All the things that made this country great, they are against and they hate. Now, when you had presidents for 50 years try to fix that reflection pool in Washington, D.C., across from the Washington mob, right? You have this amazing, that they're trying to fix it. And president after president, Obama spent $30 million. And then, so what do they want to do? They want to go attack it because they think that that's attacking Trump. This is how the mental illness, they closed down a lot of the asylums. I remember, my great grandfather, who lived to be almost 100 years old, who came over here from Italy in 1900 as a 12-year-old, 11-year-old. He was born in 1889. Amazing that I knew a man who was born in 1889. And he, had a heavy, thick Italian accent, and his whole play on, for his come from, and where, how he valued the freedom of this country and how he loved everything about it. And he wouldn't let his kids learn Italian, even though him and his wife spoke Italian pretty often to amongst themselves. He wouldn't let the kids learn because he wanted to be an American. We spoke English. That was our language, and that's what he wanted. And it's a great thing to see this. And I love this right here, these words, like this is from Daz, who's over in the UK. I love how America offered UK patriots asylum for speaking the truth. 100%. And I hope there's more. Long live the Republic. And, it is amazing. Chat says it is all about power. It's never going to change, spoke a lot of truth there, Jeff, 100%. And there's a couple, I want to play one or two more of these and we'll move on, but there's I think this was a really good speech for 100%, with great speech.
250 years, the free people of this land have accomplished more with our liberty than any other society has accomplished, even in thousands and thousands of years. As you look back and you study, what our critics will never understand is that America is not the sum of its mistakes. Our mistakes make us human. Our achievements make us American. And nobody has ever had the achievements that we've had. We are the nation that dreamed and created the modern world. We laid the railroads. We raised up those big, beautiful skyscrapers, harnessed electricity, and invented the light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, the assembly line, the television, the microchip, the personal computer, the internet, the GPS, the smartphone, and almost everything else that has ever been invented, including, especially over the last few days in certain areas, a thing called air conditioning.
You had to get that thing in, Jeff. But more people talk about gun violence. All they're afraid about all the guns. Listen, more people die in a summer. They estimate 110,000 people dying across Europe because they don't have air conditioning. Why? Because they're climate change nut jobs, right? These are the same people that did that this time 25 years ago. We would be underwater. Well, look at Plymouth Rock. The line is still the line from 400 years ago when they first landed there. It's the same freaking line. It's the same mark. Nothing's changed, but these nut jobs. And the other thing that they don't understand is they don't understand basic science. If the polar ice cap melt, some guy did an experiment. He was showing kids ice cubes, tons of ice cubes, and one had water, a few ice cubes, and when it all melts, guess what? It takes up the same space. When that melts, it occupies the same space. So they don't even understand. They're always about, but the science. You guys don't understand basic science. Nothing changes. They all melt. So what? They think it's going to flood the earth and Florida's going to be underwater and this stuff. And these are nut jobs. And the nut jobs that live and run the UK are mostly very simple, stupid, weak men. Weak men. They're all pussies. They look like they're all pussies. Now I'm going to say the F word. They're all a bunch of just losers. They got this new guy rising this to the power in the UK. He's Starmer 2.0. He's another jackass piece of garbage, right? This guy, he's like, and they're like, they're worried he's going to raise taxes. Of course he's going to raise taxes. Nobody on the left ever says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to plan to cut your taxes. We have a plan to help our people. We have a plan to cast out the invaders. No. More of the same is coming for the UK. It doesn't matter. It's like people are like, oh, Starmer's going to resign. So what? You get Starmer 2.0, 3.0, whatever. We had this.
Yeah.
We have the same problem in New York City. You get rid of one mayor, you get a worse mayor. You get rid of that bad mayor, you get another worse mayor. Then you got another. Now you got a communist, complete moron, nut job. You know, it just never ends.
We invented it all. We charted the human genome to cure diseases. We powered entire cities by splitting single atoms and planted our flag on.
I love this speech so much, Jeff. There's so much. And you know what? Anybody that says you don't understand America, you know what? You'd be living in squalor. The UK, what's everywhere. I don't know what's stopping, but you know what? You didn't want to help us when we went into Iran. You didn't want to let us land in your bases. Well, great. When you get taken over, enjoy it. Enjoy either you're going to go ahead and get taxed and then you're going to lose your heads, but enjoy it because you guys voted for it. You guys didn't rise up. The only thing that I'm convinced that can save the UK is revolution. You guys are right. You guys take it over. Did you ever see the cops in the UK?
Oh my God, they're the worst.
You're done. Do you think the military is going to stop you in the UK? They're not. The people always have the power. Until they realize that, you're going to suffer more. And you know who's not going to suffer? The Irish, because you don't F with the Irish. They do not take your shit. They do not. They're going to be the ones that uprise. They might be the ones to save it all. The Scots are gone. They used to be the fighters back in the day, but no, they're not. You get the leader over there who says there's too many white people in government. Great, go back to your shithole country.
Yep.
The moon, Americans fill the airwaves of the planet with our music and our culture. We invented baseball, basketball, football, volleyball, NASCAR, and the.
What do they? What do they have? They have soccer, football, right? That's it. I mean, imagine our hobby. Imagine our country. It's a hobby sport for us. So there are 4 other ones that like occupy everything else. Imagine those, and we have a hobby sport. Meanwhile, these people live, die, and breathe. They only have one sport. It's just like they have one everything. They don't have much variety. That's what people can't understand. They come to this country like they don't just have one muffin. They got 40 of them. They don't just have one of this. This is the biggest thing that they can't believe the choice,
right?
Because they don't have any choices.
No.
And you know what? Go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, when in communism, your choices are eliminated and you get what the government gives you, because then they get to choose the winners and losers, and you're always the loser. And the 5% that are a part of it, they want to keep winning. So they'll do anything to protect it. Yeah.
So I was going to say, those that are coming over from Europe, and Dazzle said something about it wants dreaming to come to the US, but doesn't want to come here as long as the leftists are here. I'll tell you what, your leftists in the UK are far worse. What's happening over in the UK, far worse. Come here, enjoy your time here, come to Florida, go to Texas, go to Georgia, avoid New York. You don't need to go to New York City. You're going to miss nothing. Come and see the actual United States, and you'll be impressed. People welcome, with open arms. It's not as chaotic as they make it seem, and that's why, when we saw the videos of people coming here from Europe and South America for all the games, the welcoming, the everything was civil. But the big shock to Chip, what you mentioned, when there's a World Cup in other areas, they build stadiums for the World Cup. Here, we're just like trying to figure out which stadium should we use. And the crazy thing is, which is shocking, is that some of our biggest stadiums by far are on universities. Think about the stadium at University of Michigan. What does that hold? Like 100,000 people? 111,000. Yeah, the massive. And you go from university to university, and that was shocking to them too, because they went to high school stadiums and couldn't believe the size of a high school stadium. Then the universities, they don't have that. It doesn't exist over there, to this level. And so as they came here, this was what was awe-inspiring. As they go into our stores and they see the selections, and I'm not saying everything is good, because if we were to look at from a dietary perspective, our food choices versus food choices over in Europe or elsewhere, I'll say, our food choices, unfortunately, have way too many ingredients in them and have been stacked with chemicals, you know, and is harming people. Whereas you go over to Europe, but they've outlawed, you know, certain ingredients, which is, you know, which is kind of crazy too. I would like to just see natural foods, but you know, that, I mean, to me, that's an interesting point. But our variety here is just shocking people. They just can't believe when you come into a store that is the size of a warehouse, and they were shocked by a Costco. I mean, it's just amazing, you know, the responses of people.
I'm shocked that people like Europeans, they freak out when they see a school bus. They thought they were fake, that they were just in the movies. I'm like, are you effing for real? Are you?
Yeah,
what
they don't
kind of
have school buses.
Like, they're like they see a yellow, oh, school bus. They're freaking out because they saw it on TV, but they didn't think it was a real thing. Like, you know, it's for TV. Could you imagine you live in a country where you don't have the bus that goes up and picks all the students up that live a little bit further out for free? It's part of your, like, oh, you're, you know, yeah, that just happens. Like, you don't pay for the school bus. It's part of the taxes you pay into, and it goes and picks kids up, you know. Just don't want to be on the short bus. I don't think they've learned about the short bus yet, Jeff. That's a whole different bus. But
a whole different bus.
Most of the lefties belong on the short bus. And, you know, but the funny thing about all of this that plays into it, like when I think about the Europeans, I've loved every bit of it. I've loved what they find amazing. They're like, go to a petrol station and you see, you know, like the Buc-ee's, and they're like, only in the United States, you know, could you go there? And it's so funny. I watched it there. They got their Buc-ee's shirts on, and you know, and that the guy that founded that's from Texas, and he was like a 22-year-old kid, and he said, you know, I want to have a place, I want to have a gas station that has the cleanest restrooms anywhere. And I'll tell you what, man, you'll drive an extra 10 miles to get to a Buc-ee's if you got to use the facilities, because they're in there scrubbing that bathroom down 24/7, Jeff. They're always running around with the rags, and they're cleaning everything. And they're spotless in there. And that's that. I mean, that was what it started out. Then they added this, then they added that. Now it's an attraction, right? And they've got, I don't know, 50 or 60 pumps, and it's only for cars. You can't, big trucks can't go there for that. So, you know, I feel bad for the truckers because they need a clean place too. And most truck stops are not known for that. But let's listen to the rest of this.
Rodeo. We love that rodeo of the West.
Rodeo.
Americans have won the most Olympic medals of any country in the world by far. The most Nobel Prizes. Well, they haven't given me one. Settled 8 wars. I still haven't gotten it. That's okay. And the most world records. We publish by far the most patents. We produce the best movies. We make the best music. And we raise up the greatest entertainers and strongest athletes the world has ever seen. So true. We built the biggest and most dynamic economy. And by the way, our country today is doing better than it's ever done before. Never had anything like it. With, as of last week, $19.2 trillion pouring into the United States right now from all over the world. That's the investments being made. And the record was 3. 4 years. In 4 years, the last administration did much less than 1, and we did 19.2 in 12 months.
Wow.
And thanks to our great election win, November 5th, and the tariffs, plants and factories are being built all over the United States right now, and they're being built at a number that we've never, ever seen before. So much more. We're breaking records by double, triple, quadruple. We created the strongest and most powerful military. We won 2 world wars, the Cold War, left America's enemies in the depths of history.
Yeah, it goes on and on, Jeff.
I love it. I love it.
Really, we have time for it, but that was a great speech. That was fantastic. Now, we want to see what the left want to hear. The lefty kids.
No, we don't want to be brought down.
So that's the downside of America right here. This right here. Now, these are so basic that I guarantee that I would probably say almost everybody here who lives outside the U.S. already knows this. But let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating the 4th of July.
Going down the beach with my friends.
I'm going camping for the first time in my life, and I'm honestly terrified.
And drunk and probably lighting fireworks.
Drunk while you're lighting fireworks?
Of course.
Is that a good idea?
100%.
Why do we celebrate the 4th of July?
I honestly couldn't answer that.
She can't answer that. But you voted for Joe Biden, right? but you voted for Kamala Ding Dong, right? You don't know, Jeff. How do you
might
get
not have
through?
voted at all.
21 years. How do you get through life and not understand how your country was founded? Like, how is that possible? To know what July 4th is? You've experienced 19 or 20 of them, right? I mean, like, how do you not know? It's so mind blowing. I don't even know where to put this.
Well, actually, not sure.
We celebrate the birthday of America.
Boom. There you go. Well, it's good to see a conservative in the crowd, Jeff.
Be lit and enjoy life.
That didn't used to be a trick question.
How old is America turning this year?
I have no idea.
58.
Might have been 58. Now, might have
Did
been a
you
good
say
idea.
58?
Yeah. Also, might have been a good idea to ask them if they know what their name is, because I thought that would have been like, let's establish a baseline here. Do you know your name?
Yeah.
Do you know where you are right now?
58.
Is it actually?
No.
250?
Well, there you
Where
go.
do we declare our independence from?
Explain that a little bit further. What do you mean by where?
There's your future politician, right? A future Democrat politician. Could you explain that a little bit further? No, it was a pretty simple question.
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
The United States.
Great Britain.
Mozambique. Africa.
Mozambique. What?
You're kidding.
He even knows what Mozambique is.
Did
a
you
country.
say Mozambique?
He said Mozambique, Jeff. This is the greatest thing ever. Never seen dumber people in my life, Jeff.
Africa.
You're kidding, right?
What was the name of the war in which we fought for our independence?
Civil War.
Jeff, even if you're gonna make a wild guess, how is a civil war, which is amongst yourselves, did you fight for independence? Like, just don't say anything. Just look stupid, okay?
Especially since he gave it away in the question.
Right?
What was the war that we
Civil
fought
War.
for our independence?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No.
Oh God.
I actually don't know.
The Rev.
Bro, I don't know.
French and Indian War. World
Korean War.
War II.
The Revolutionary War.
Your stuff.
You know, I think that
What was the name of the general that led us to victory in the Revolutionary War?
Who led us to victory, Jeff, in the Revolutionary War? How do you not know? This is like, you know this when you're like 6 years old, Jeff. Like, how did they not? What is going on?
World War 11. Yeah.
World War 11.
Oh my god.
Does it begin with an A?
Funny.
Washington?
General
Lee.
Hitler.
It was not Hitler.
Then I have no idea.
I thought it was obvious.
What year did we declare our independence?
No.
This is a very wild guess. The 1920.
1786.
1776.
1654.
Higher.
1730.
Higher.
1748.
Higher.
1778.
I didn't do well in school.
Democrats, they like to say Donald Trump is a king, but we know we don't have kings in this country because we kicked a king to the curb. What was his name?
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
Might need some multiple choice here. King Tut.
Julius Caesar.
King Charles or something?
Neptune.
King George.
First time I've ever seen anyone get all questions right.
Come on, wait.
Who signed the Declaration of Independence?
William Shakespeare.
Lincoln.
Benjamin Franklin. George Washington.
John Hancock.
John
Wick.
George Bush.
John Wick.
John Wick.
What's your birthday message to America as we celebrate 250?
Happy 4th of July. Happy 250th.
Celebrate and have a beer.
Everyone go light some fireworks and maybe blow some heads off.
What do you want to tell Jesse Waters? You're on his show on Fox News.
See you on my parents' television all the time?
Do you know who I am?
A handsome man.
Thank you. Here's Johnny.
What's up, Johnny?
How are you celebrating?
That is just incredible, Jeff. It's beyond shock.
I love it.
I mean, I thought these were so basic questions. Okay, you might not remember who the king was, King George. You might not have got, okay, I can see you like, I don't remember what king it was. Okay, maybe, fair enough. Not even understanding like basic stuff, not even knowing the first president, the British general. Now, a lot of people have TDS. You saw them in the chat earlier. They just lob bombs. You're people are stupid. You're morons. What? Okay, then you just get into a real discussion about them, and it's more like what we just saw there. But this is Trump on TDS.
You or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure.
I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned. I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off. Fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me, and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.
It's something simple, Jeff.
Oh my God, that was great. I love it.
I
love these commercials.
You really have to love it, right? I mean, it really is fantastic. Wanted to talk. So look at Jeff. This is look at Japan celebrating the 4th. Japan.
Oh, Japan's happy too. Man. Amazing.
I love that. This is them celebrating July 4th.
Chip, what is that tower? Chip, what's that tower in Tokyo?
I don't know what it's called. Japanese are more patriotic than any Democrat.
It's amazing.
This is embarrassing.
Amazing. Oh man, you gotta love it.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Jeff, look at this drone show in Texas. This is insane.
Oh, this is impressive too. Yeah.
250
Look, the
July
250
4th
logo.
celebrations.
Yeah.
This video is
Super
footage
impressive.
from North Richland Hills, which is a suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth, where 2,500 drones filled the sky. Just look at that. The drones showed. The drone show included iconic American images like Uncle Sam and a giant red, white, and blue eagle with pyrotechnics attached to the drones. Attached to the drones, which gave them some extra flair. I have never seen anything quite like that before that we see on our screen, guys.
Then here is the, Trump spoke at Mount Rushmore. This was the fireworks. Scott Jennings took this video. Jeez, Jeff, that was impressive, huh?
Man,
That was
it's so
impressive.
amazing to see this. Oh, it's amazing. So amazing. I would love to have been at one of these at one of these fireworks shows, especially
Right?
the one
I
with the
mean,
drones.
these drone shows are so cool, man. And the problem with the fireworks shows, as it goes on, the smoke kind of like blurs a lot of like the end fireworks because it's just this is Warren Smith. I think Warren Smith, he got fired from his job because he spoke the truth, but I think he was a professor. But this guy so succinctly breaks down. When we talked a little bit about communism, why the U.S. is great. This is the other side of it. But he breaks down Mamdani. These people, they don't give you any details. There aren't any details.
Right.
Pain, lack. There's always going to be tons of lack in communism, but he breaks this down beautifully.
Always.
This guy.
See this, you will not be able to unsee it. This interview exposed the Democratic Socialists of America.
There's been a lot of attention. One of the candidates you supported who won, who knocked off an incumbent Democrat, is Darlisa Villa-Chevalier. She said some very controversial things, including calling for the abolition of prisons, couldn't say whether or not somebody who had committed murder should be in prison, called for open borders against all deportations, including those of violent criminals.
So murderers shouldn't be in prison, no borders at all. What could go wrong? You can't make it up. Surely that's not actually what these guys are calling for. Let's see how he responds.
Are those positions that the Democratic Party could win on nationally?
I think what the Democratic Party can win on nationally is a focus on working people.
Well, we're focusing on working people. That's all he says here.
She would talk about how we have to invest in babies, not bombs.
Invest in babies, not bombs. What does that mean? Everyone claims that their policies will benefit working people. That's not an argument. And this is the illusion.
But how does abolishing prisons or having open borders fit into that? I mean, do you see how those are ideas that a lot of your Democrats that are warning about what happened here say are toxic?
Even the guy interviewing him, a mainstream journalist, even he is shocked by what he's hearing. Surely you don't believe this stuff.
Most of America won't go along with it. Are bad ideas. They're dangerous ideas.
I think what the focus of her race was, what the focus of her candidacy was about the struggle that working people are facing.
And he just says working people again. That's all he can say.
So we can disagree on something as basic as whether or not there should be prisons?
That's
not your position.
There are prisons,
yes.
And what we're also showing in this city.
You just announced they're closing down Rikers prison. So you get rid of the prisons, Jeff. There's nowhere to put the criminals. So you don't have to put the criminals.
They're doing it on purpose. Yeah, but this is all part of the plan. That's the whole thing. There's a couple factors to destabilize a country, to destabilize the public. One of them is safety, right? They came after us monetarily. They've tried it. They've succeeded with it. They know what it will take to destabilize people economically. We recovered, we rebuilt. They destabilized us from a healthcare perspective. They tried to mandate a one-payer healthcare system. Didn't work. Then they demoralized our healthcare through COVID and lockdowns and everything they did. Safety and security is the next level. So if they take away your safety and security in the streets, you limit freedom of movement directly, which allows you to ratchet up however you want to make it happen, whether increase of police force, less increase of police force. But the key is that you don't have movement. If you don't have freedom of movement, you destabilize society. So This is all part of their plan. In modern day, we've seen this happen over and over and over again. Go back and study what happened in Venezuela. It's exactly what they did. The government purposely destabilized safety and security in the streets, destabilized the monetary system. They did everything they could in order to ratchet up the control of the country. And we saw what the outcome was. This is exactly out of the same playbooks. Their playbook doesn't change. Go to Soviet Russia, go into the Islamist world, right? And why are the Islamists, why are we allowing the terrorist entities into this country? Why are we allowing the ones they don't want in the Middle East? Why is it that the Middle East is the Islamic nations, 57 nations, when it didn't start that way? And nobody wants to focus on the colonization of the Middle East and now of Europe by the Islamists. Lebanon wasn't a Muslim country. Syria wasn't a Muslim country. Iran wasn't a Muslim country, but they are now. Why doesn't anyone question that? Egypt, it goes on and on and on. And now we're seeing what's happening in London and, throughout England, throughout Europe. People have to wake up. This is exactly what's happening. This guy sitting in front of us is on the front line of exactly that. The guy's a snake in the grass. He's lying to the people. He's an Islamist. He knows he's an Islamist. He supports the Islamist. His wife's an Islamist. People have to wake up. Why are they targeting the big cities? Why did they target London? Why are they targeting all the big cities with Islamic leadership? They know exactly what they're doing. He's a communist. He's an Islamist. They're manipulating and utilizing both sides of the coin. They're reaching out to the public. The public in America is so stupid on the left that they're buying into this stuff. And New York, I don't know. Maybe the people in New York City, it's something in the water. They're just not smart people anymore. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, they're going to suffer. And we're going to see a brain drain and a financial drain out of New York that's going to benefit the South. But that's not good for America. So at some point, we have to step up and reclaim. And Europe is in the same position right now. They're going to have to reclaim the streets of Europe from the Islamification of their countries. It's on a massive scale. I think they showed their hand too soon, and this is the point where they thought they could do it, and they're not going to be able to in this country at least. But they're spreading here. They're all over, right? You look throughout, like Hamtramck in Michigan, Dearborn in Michigan. They march in the streets, they pray in the streets, and then they migrate north. And that's exactly what they're doing in Michigan. If you look at Sterling Heights, that's their next target. And it's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. And so they're moving and they're migrating up in that direction right now. It's happening in Texas. It's happening in Tampa, Florida. Keep an eye on what's happening in Tampa, Florida. But there was a law that just went into effect as of July 1st in Florida, which outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood and other sects that are very similar to that. They're no longer legally able to be in Florida. CARE is another one of them. Antifa is another one. There's a whole bunch of groups that are now illegal and recognized as domestic terrorist organizations by the state of Florida. And that is going to have to take place everywhere. Why? Because it's the salvation of this country. We have to save the country. It's our 250th birthday. This is the greatest place on earth right now. And Trump said it, clear as day. It's amazing the amount of productivity that has come out of this country that we haven't seen from anywhere else, anywhere. And it's amazing to me. And yet they let this guy into the house, right? You got to be careful when you let the wolf into the hen's nest or whatever.
As they say, yeah, 100%, Jeff. It's well said. Let's listen to the rest of this thing. This is and what's funny is, firstly, you got a lefty doing this who's kind of trying to ask questions, but he never follows up.
Dummy it down. No, they dummy it down.
That's not the answer. They just go like, ask the question. Are you saying that open borders and prisons are going to close our Democratic Party babies and speeches and people, and we're going to say fun things? Listen, these guys never challenged on any kind of an interview question. They have nothing to say and talk about. But we saw the morons that don't even know the founding of the country. These are the guys who go, yay, and then they end up in an asylum and on big pharma drugs and all kinds of stuff, and end up dead in the street or somewhere.
Is that safety is not something that's up for debate. It's something that we're actually delivering on.
In order to avoid contending with it, he claims it's not up for debate. We're just going to deliver on it. What are you delivering? Please just explain it simply to me. What is democratic socialism?
And for a lot of people who ask themselves, what does democratic socialism mean? And you can tell them the answer at a theoretical level. It's the choice to extend democracy from the ballot box the rest of their lives. But
what does that mean? Extending democracy from the ballot box to the rest of my life. That doesn't mean anything.
You got to have something you are not just willing to stand up for, but that you're also willing to explain how this is relevant to working people.
Good. Tell me. Explain it to me, please.
I'm not interested in writing a manifesto or, frankly, in reading one. I'm interested in delivering, and that's exactly what
you would ever want to put the reality down in a document that people could actually read and maybe hold it against you, Jeff. You surely don't want to do that.
Showing.
But what are you delivering, though? Please, no, just write it out. What makes you a socialist specifically? Because I don't understand how we can have both.
But they're saying that if you're a socialist, you're not a Democrat. I mean, is there room in the party for both of these views?
Yes.
You can't just say yes. I mean, you got to expand on it a little bit.
Yes. So does it have to stand firmly for these ideas that you're talking about that others are calling dangerous?
I think it has to stand for working people.
We got the working people part. I got that. That's the third time you've mentioned it. Try someone else. Maybe we can get a better answer.
Because another co-founder that you guys have, Gustavo Gordillo, said that you guys are you admitted that you're using the infrastructure that the party has set up for ballot access. Great. And that's what you're doing. Is that fair to say that that's what you're doing? You're not actually Democrats. You're using the process that's already in place to gain power.
Well, we would ask everybody, including voters of the Democratic Party, of what are Democrats?
All right. Sounds like postmodernism.
DSA is also on the record talking about the need to defund the police and freedom for all incarcerated people. Do you believe in anybody being incarcerated for any kind of crime?
Amazing. Like, I can say what I feel personally. I think there for sure is violent crime or things that are really atrocious things that happen that, for sure in the near term or foreseeable future, I think there is a need to keep that in check. I think there is a lot of lower level crime.
Yes.
Without incarceration, how do you keep murderers from murdering people?
He's going to point to, well, there's a lot of lower level crime. Sometimes there's too much enforcement on lower level crime. And that's all he says. He just leaves it there. Lower level crime.
I think that there is so much low level crime that our current system just goes after people for things like jumping a turnstile in a subway station or somebody having a mental health episode.
Okay, but do you think that murderers should be put in prison? Do you think that murderers should be put in prison and incarcerated, or no?
I'm okay with that. I think that things that are...
I'm okay with that, right? Just listen to how this dude struggles to answer basic common sense questions.
Now, this woman is smarter than the previous guy. She's not going to let this go.
Low-level crime that should not have police responding by shooting a teenager who jumps their turnstile or who is having a mental health episode and is shot by police.
The third time he's done it, pointing to low-level crime again. But what about people that are murdering people? What about serious crimes?
Crime has actually gone down in the past few months that Zoran Mamdani has been mayor and is starting to enact the policies that he campaigned on.
Well,
so
when
things
you don't
that
arrest
the top
anybody
demands that he campaigned
and you
on
don't
were...
put this crime stats in, of course it looks like crime went down. I want to get to this with you before we go.
She's just looking at him like, you are so full of crap.
Well, I would focus on the demands that he campaigned on, which were universal child care, freezing the rent, and fast and free buses. Just in the past 48 hours, freezing the rent. The freezing the rent just happened. That's one of the top three demands just happened. The buses, that requires state funding, that requires city funding, so that's not a one and done. He doesn't have the legislature to do that right away, but we're organizing.
Yes, I would love free childcare. I would love free transportation. Okay, but how are you going to do that? There's never any mention of that.
This new candidate for New York 13, Ms. Chevalier, she was part of a group on campus, a divestment group, and that group believes in, quote, nothing short of the total collapse of the structure of the American empire itself. Our goal is to eradicate Western civilization, to undermine and eradicate America.
The eradication of Western civilization. What could go wrong?
We act in full support of the Palestinian.
You know what could go wrong? It's called the third world, the shithole Middle East. That's what it's called, Jeff.
They've delivered nothing, Chip. Nothing, ever.
Nothing delivered, nothing. They come here and they suck off the government teeth. They don't do nothing. They don't do it.
Nothing.
But always out on the street, and they don't do that. And they don't do that in Saudi Arabia. They don't allow it. They kick them the hell out of the country. They don't do that in any Arab nation, but they do it here for dominance and power. They love to get out there and show. I mean, it's disrespectful in all hell. I mean, man, the call to prayer at 3 a.m. I mean, what the hell?
Resistance and believe in unrest and violence in America. Are those ideas that the DSA also endorses?
No, I don't think I would endorse that language. I think we are about expanding democracy in every part of our lives.
It's about expanding democracy from the ballot box to the rest of your life. It's literally like they have practiced these talking points because he's echoing what we saw with Zoran.
And you can tell them the answer at a theoretical level. It's the choice to extend democracy from the ballot box to the rest of their lives.
It's like they pass out these flyers.
We always talk about democracy. They don't understand. We don't live in a democracy, you bastards.
And they all memorize these robotic sentences in order to evade any real response.
Yep. It's all part of the plan. It's their talking points. But they phrase it in such a way that is duplicitous. It sounds good. on that surface level, you know, but then when you dig down to it, there's zero substance. Come here.
Is it a cat or a dog?
No, it's a dog. He keeps poking his head in.
Yeah, look at this.
He's huge. He's got a massive head. He bumps into you. It's like, oh my God.
Ortis Drain says, I'm the great grandson of Major Lytle David Hickerson, patriot of the Revolutionary War, gifted thousands of acres by Congress, and we still hold the land today, as well as the vision of the Morgan Stanley in Nashville. That's impressive, man. Jim D says the real Democrats realize the radicals have hijacked their party. Some have converted to the GOP. Yeah, 100%. It is incredible. And look at this right here. So here's Rep. J-Paul. She's asked about this. They never have an answer. The thing is, they just sit there and just yell talking points and democracy, and people believe and we're for the working people. What have you done for the working people? We freeze the rents. Well, we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like, freezing the rents, and how that's going to work out.
What happens when these Democrat politicians are asked basic common sense questions about their stances?
The reason that Donald Trump has to pivot from saying socialist to saying communist now is because socialism is actually quite popular. These ideas, whether you call it socialism or not, they are very popular across the country. So he's got to attach a new label to it. But I'm not concerned. We're all going to be here fighting for the things that that we are for and that we want to deliver for working people.
So is socialism the end goal for progressives at this point?
The end goal is delivering for working people. Universal health care, universal child care, housing investments, a housing bill, by the way, the most consequential in a generation that the president says is a yawn and is unimportant. It is so disrespectful of the things that are happening. And I think, frankly, that's why there's so much support for many of these candidates across the country.
You just said socialism. Congressman, you just said socialism is very popular. Can you name one socialist country that ended well?
There's plenty
I got to get a car now.
examples of how these
there's when they
policies
run
make
away.
a real difference. And I'm excited to make sure that
Of course
Americans
she
have
runs
the
away.
You can't even name one.
Nope. When she runs away.
Here's what the landlords have to say about the rent. This is what's going to happen when you freeze the rent. This is they don't even understand. Look, keep going because you're destroying your party, and I love it. I'm here for it.
New York, the Independent Rent Guidelines Board just froze the rent. That means if you're one of the more than 2 million New Yorkers who lives in a rent-stabilized apartment, your rent's going to be frozen next year.
That's New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani delivering on his campaign promise to freeze the rent. Starting October 1st, 2026, 1- and 2-year renewal leases on rent-stabilized apartments will be frozen, impacting 1 million units in the city. It's easy to understand why a lot of New Yorkers voted for this policy. Rent in NYC is notoriously unaffordable. The implication is that landlords are to blame. They're evil capitalists sitting on piles of cash, exploiting their vulnerable tenants. But the truth is much more complex. This March, I visited Jose Tor, a 31-year-old Cuban-American who's a landlord of a building in Washington Heights. He complicates this simple oppressor versus oppressed narrative Mamdani's team would like us to believe. Jose's grandfather, Jose Antonio Tor, came to America after escaping the Cuban Revolution. At 50 years old in 1979, he started over.
He was doing a side job painting around the neighborhood, and a lady told him, hey, listen, you should stop by and take a look at this building because they're giving it away, essentially. Wow. He met with the owner and was able to finance the building. He eventually put down a $25,000 down payment and dedicated his life to these buildings. This is my grandfather and I, and we're replacing a large marble step here. This was about in 1999, so he would always tell me, you know, never do anything unless you do it with love and you really, really care about it. And he loved the work, but it was led by his passion.
His grandfather was eventually able to buy another building across the street with 45 units, which is what Jose now runs.
What year is this building?
This is 1915.
1915.
Yeah, so 100 years old.
Jose is weighing whether he should stay and continue his grandfather's legacy or sell and get out, because he says years of oppressive housing policies, of which Mamdani's rent freeze is just the latest and most extreme, are pricing him out of the family business. In 2019, for example, a tenant protection law passed in New York State, capping the amount landlords can raise rents on rent-stabilized apartments at 2%.
Today, the tenants will win.
Thank God.
The problem is that most rent-stabilized apartments have the same tenant for decades and are in need of serious repair.
This is how he left the apartment, yep. Which we cleaned it up a little bit,
Yeah.
but you could see how terrible of a tenant. The guy was...
Well, no appliances. Did you have to take them out after he left? Were they destroyed or?
They were destroyed, roach infested. They served no use.
Right. And then like bathroom isn't usable, kitchen's not usable.
If an apartment was rented for, say, $800 back in 1970, raising the rent to just $816 a month in 2026 would make it impossible for landlords to cover their expenses. So instead of fixing them and bringing them back up to code, landlords will lock the door and never rent them again.
Have you gotten quoted for what it would take to bring this apartment back on the market?
Yeah, I mean, on a very low note, doing the minimal amount of work, probably $30,000.
You have 45 units?
Right, yeah.
How many of them are empty like this right now?
6.
6.
Yep.
As we've reported in the Free Press, an estimated 50,000 ghost apartments currently sit empty because of this law. In a city experiencing a housing crisis where there's never enough apartments to meet the demand, this outcome is catastrophic.
And that just translated into vacant apartments, you know, a significant drop in values in terms of property values, more sales, less dollar volume. It makes it worse for everybody because I would love to give everyone a good quality, comfortable apartment that's up to code, that doesn't have, you know, broken floor tiles or cabinets that needs to be replaced. But we are put in a position where we can't do that.
After taxes, building maintenance, insurance, and other costs, Jose's left with just $43,000 in profits. But that razor-thin profit margin can disappear quickly. When the war in Iran caused gas prices to spike in March, Jose estimated gas prices for this year would cost $30,000 more than last year. When Zoran Mamdani decrees he's not allowed to raise the rents, he's left with no path to recoup these sorts of rising costs.
So are you in touch with other landlords in this neighborhood, and what are they saying about all of this?
They are not happy. They want to get out. They want to sell in most instances because it's just become such a world where you can't even do what you need to do.
Right.
Because of the government and because of obviously the costs, and we're put in a place where we're pretty much like useless, and the government has more control than we have of our own property.
If nothing changes, what's going to happen in like a year or 2 years?
I think more landlords that are in very tough financial shape will turn the keys over.
To who?
Back to the lenders.
Okay.
Buildings will continue to fall into disrepair. Mold gets all over. It has to be eliminated and abated by not anyone, but you know, an EPA registered contractor that costs, you know, 3-4 times what someone else would pay to do it. And then you have violations that follow with that. So then you're being fined because you're not completing the violations, and it just spirals out of control where that landlord is just pushed up against the wall, and they don't have the means to do it, even if they wanted to. Even if they were good landlords, they would have no other choice but to, you know, hand it over.
It's in this context that Mayor Mamdani has announced a new city policy to seize the property of bad landlords who don't properly keep up their buildings.
When necessary, we will take aggressive legal action to remove negligent owners and property managers. And for buildings that have suffered chronic neglect, we will work to transfer ownership to responsible stewards.
In other words, when landlords...
Jeff,
what does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Well, people he deems should be responsible stewards, you know, Islamists, Democrats, government.
Probably Islamists.
100%.
like Jose can no longer make the numbers work, the government of New York City will seize their buildings.
When my grandfather was alive, and you know, he was really echoing when Castro came in and the regime started to take shape, gain control, and then really put the stronghold on business owners like him. Like, he was a ship merchant, right? Castro was sweet talking everyone into believing in his ideals and his agenda, but then, you know, things turned when they essentially went up to my grandfather and said, now all of this, your ship, your property belongs to the government. So he saw that there, lived through it, survived it, escaped it, and then essentially came back into another environment that evolved into what he lived through back in Cuba.
I texted Jose the moment I heard about the rent freeze. He told me, more pain. I'm barely making it this month. Tax bill due at the end of this month, water bill the following. I'm postponing payments to all vendors because I don't have enough money in the bank. October 1st, when the freeze takes effect for leases, I have no way to keep up with rising costs.
What's your hope for the Mamdani administration?
That they work with us, that they work with the real estate industry to actually see how things can be improved, that they don't categorize us and simply ignore us because we're simply capitalists and landlords, essentially, right? It doesn't make any sense. If we are providing over 30% of the budget, via property taxes to the city, we are your partner.
I mean, Jeff, this is like the same old tale, right? This is the Democrat way of thinking. Well, in California, they're going to raise the minimum wage. What happened? They lost 50% of the workers got cut because you're not going to, people that own businesses, if you've ever owned a business, if you ever had to cover expenses, you ever been a landlord? I've been a landlord. Not the greatest thing in the world. It's not a lot of fun, but the funny thing is like you have expenses and you sometimes you're on the short end of it where you're not making money, you're losing money, and that's not a good place to be. And how do you think these people are going to make it? So they're going to take over all these. You got 50,000 ghost apartments. Guy showed he had 6 apartments that he can't rent. It's too expensive to fix them, so he just closes the door and never goes in them. So there's 50,000 of them. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of them pretty soon when you have this rent freeze. So this is what always happens when you're not a steward of history. You're not studied history, and you do make the same dumb mistakes over and over, Jeff. And it just never ends. It seems to be this ongoing sort of a battle for sanity.
That's it. The other thing, once they bring that down, I mean, that's always the objective, right? They don't like private ownership, right? So they're purposely also demoralizing the renters. Now, with Mamdani, he's ratcheting up to a completely different level. His responsible stewards, he knows exactly who they are. He knows exactly what he's trying to do. He knows exactly what valuation they can then buy those buildings at, right? And then they'll move their own people in, whatever it takes, right? And it's all about defranchising the people, and it's about conquest and takeover. So in this scenario, I would tell a guy like that, get out now, forget about it, sell it, take your value, and move to Florida or somewhere else and put your money there. Put your money into real estate that is increasing in value. And I think Jim D also said it, pretty straight in terms of what they're doing in New York City in terms of the devaluation of the properties, so they can come in and buy them at discounted rates. Now we're also seeing a turnover of properties to the banking infrastructure. I mean, there's so many moving pieces to this as well. We could send a whole show just on the collapse of the real estate markets within New York City and what their intent is by having a socialist communist running New York City, and what that will mean, moving forward. We look at the city of Detroit, and you see how it was in the 60s. It fell after the riots of the 60s. People fled the city of Detroit. People just vacated their businesses. They couldn't sell property, and those properties and buildings and high-rise office buildings sat vacant. I would bring people on tours of Detroit, and they couldn't believe what they saw, building after building after building. And if you ever rode the People Mover a number of years ago, you'd go right by vacant buildings, and it was just one after another, and it was desolate. Now it's different. It took some time to renovate and bring people back to the city of Detroit as an example, but that doesn't mean that New York City can't end up there. And it seems to be moving that way. I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't want it to, and they're going to fight back to make sure it doesn't, but I don't know. It's rapidly moving in that direction. And again, I'll keep saying it, the big benefactor is Florida. They're getting all of it.
Charles says Escape from New York Part 2. Pretty much.
Part 2. Exactly. We need to put a wall around it first.
Let's look at the invasion of the UK here.
Part of the Ghazian press. He's on the border between Israel and Lebanon right now. But he's also going to share with you the difference between the Christian village and the Muslim village. Listen to this.
Assalamu alaikum. I am an innocent Gazan journalist here on the border of Israel and Lebanon. And I want to send a very quick message to all our Shia friends around the world. This is Kfar Kile, a Shia Hezbollah Islamist village that was attacking the citizens of Metula here in Israel by lobbing anti-tank missiles at innocent civilians. And this right over here is Kfar Klea, a Christian Arab village in the south of Lebanon. As you can see, it is perfectly intact and not destroyed. Christian,
Shocker.
Shia, Hezbollah, Muslim.
Play them games, bro.
Christian, perfectly intact.
Don't play them games with God now. Come
Shia,
on.
Hezbollah, Muslim. Stop acting like monkeys. You won't win this. This is what happens when you act like a monkey. This is what happens when you act civilized. We will f your shit up.
Yeah, there you go. And then here we go. Here we go. More.
Hey, Terrorism Police has just released this video I'm going to play you now. This is a message that was posted on their official Instagram page, and this is what they want to tell citizens of the United Kingdom.
Currently in the UK, the threat level is severe. This means...
Oh, listen. Pay attention here, police. I've never seen more. It's such a clown show over there. I witnessed it myself. They were like going to take my phone away from me because I was with the camera because they were trying to, they're a drunk guy. Listen, you just go and it's gone. It blows over, done. Their uniforms look stupid. The looks on their faces look stupid. You can overpower them, guys. You don't need a lot. They don't have.
Look how weak she is.
It's useless. You guys can take your country, write a constitution, have a war, but you're going to sit back and say, I can't believe the taxes go up. I can't believe Starmer 2.0 is here. Come on. Have some balls. Fight back. Get this. This is your spokesperson. Look at her. She got radios and shit all over her. Meanwhile, you can just pop her in the face and she's going to start crying. I mean, like, they don't have guns. They don't have stuff. They don't have stun guns. I have nothing. They're just complete
nothing.
That an attack is highly likely.
In the event of a firearms or weapons attack, run if it is safe to do so. This is the best option. If you cannot run, hide.
Please.
Best option is to get rid of you or to get rid of your government. That's the best option. Get rid of the monarchy. That's your best option to survive.
Let them carry guns.
Then you can just go back 250 years ago and take a peek and start reading. Read the Federalist Papers and learn how you can actually do it. There is a manual for it.
Called 999, only when it is safe to do so. Thank you.
So what is everyone's opinions on that video? What do you think of that?
I already told you.
Run and hide is what you've been advised to do, because I guess there is no other option at this point. They haven't even tried to sugarcoat it. They haven't even tried to tell you that, don't worry, we've got it handled, we'll protect you. There's been none of that. I guess to tell them the truth, it's just simply run and hide. A threat is imminent, just run and hide. There's nothing that can be done about it. Very interesting. I'm glad I live here in the United States of America now, because I can guarantee America will not be telling me to run and hide in the case of a terrorism threat. And as a Brit, to move here and now have the ability, in the worst case scenario, to be able to protect myself and my family in a severe situation like they're talking about in the video, I have the ability to do so. So let me know, what do you think about this official?
100%. Jim D says we need a new, younger, Escape from New York Snake Plissken role model. Where's Hollywood men when we need them for the next gen heroes? They're soy boys. That's the other thing too, is you dumb down. Now here's an Aussie. I always love this kid every time I see him. He's fun. But this is an Aussie talking about America.
You know what I've realised after moving to the USA from Australia? People around the world are always talking so much shit about the USA. One of the big things people say, oh, America's got bad coffee. Yeah, it's because you're going to Denny's, mate. You're getting coffee at Denny's. It's not supposed to change your fucking life. It's a fucking roadside diner, you stupid moron. Plenty of good coffee shops around here, mate. What's another thing? Oh, the food's bad. The food's greasy. Once again, you're going to Denny's. You're judging America's whole culinary culture based on a Denny's slam. If you ask me, I think Denny's is fucking awesome, mate. I always think it's funny how people around the world always have something to say about America, even though if America didn't exist, we'd all be speaking Japanese. Ni hao, bonjourno, mate. Buongiorno. Especially since some of these people come from nations that haven't contributed shit in the past 2 centuries. I'm looking at you, France. What have you contributed recently? A new way to eat frogs? Oh, but Sweden's safer. America's not safe. Yeah, but Sweden's also boring as fuck. You go to Sweden, there's nothing to fucking do. No wonder there's so many fucking brothels in that region. Oh, the coffee's so good in Sweden. I don't give a fuck, but I'm gonna stay in America because I like not being bored. If you know me, you know I'm a fucking patriot, mate. I live in the US South. This place rocks. I've been all over the world. This place is the best. My only complaint, you guys got man-eating fucking mosquitoes out here. So big, they sound like fucking lawnmowers flying through the fucking air. I saw a mosquito the other day pick up a fucking baby. It's so fucking big, mate. I got a mosquito living in my house that's that fucking big. We added him to the fucking lease. He's now a co-tenant. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.
Guy's fucking great, isn't he? Really is.
Oh my god, that guy is funny. Oh my god,
going to Denny's,
awesome.
So, it's so funny. They go to like caught dead in those places. Like you wait till you experience the good food. You haven't even been there yet. And then this is the video Spain put together to thank the United States.
Waffle House, that's right. Tracy said a true American goes to Waffle House, not Denny's.
Well, Waffle House is rough. I ate a Waffle House recently, and dude, I regretted it. I was like, I regretted it, man.
I've been to Waffle House, I think, once.
I went to a Waffle House. Somebody wanted to go there. I was like, no, dude, it's no, I don't know. That's crap. I didn't know long in here that we could play.
No.
Porque un lugar cambia contigo.
The place will change. And neither you nor that place will ever be quite this place. Damn, I have to turn that off. Sorry, guys. And then it shows all smiling people, which is awesome. It was a super cool tribute. At the end, thank you. You gotta love it, man. And then Waffle House's ghetto's F. That's for true. Denny's is where the zombies hang out. Yeah, it's the only thing open at 3 a.m. after the pubs close. Yeah. Saw a lot of videos of foreigners enjoying America for the World Cup. Yeah, 100%, man. There were so many of them. It was so great to see, man. You know, here's the Europe. Someone made a video of the US here. Baby. Guardian.
Flew in from across the ocean, didn't know what to expect. Saw the skyline out the window and I nearly broke my neck. Landed in Atlanta where the Georgia pines run green. Man, I said this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Pulled up to a Waffle House at 1 a.m. real late. Hash brown scattered, smothered, covered, 10 out of 10, it's great. Discovered free refills and I almost lost my mind. Found the kind of welcome that I never thought I'd find. Welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on display. From Boston to LA, from Dallas to the sea, 80,000 voices, this is what it means to be free. Hey! Welcome to the land, yeah, we're rolling out the door. Every street a stage, every stranger wanting more. The ball is in the air, and the whole wide world can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the land of the free. Marched into Boston with their bagpipes ringing clear. Kilts and tartan everywhere, the whole city stopped to hear. They sang Flower of Scotland at the Red Sox Fenway Park. Lit the whole of New England up and glowing in the dark. The Germans hit the highway, chased the road from south to north. Freddie said it's the Holy Land, he meant Taco Bell, of course. Buc-ee's left him speechless, Bass Pro Shops left him amazed. Even got invited to the White House, yeah, the whole world's going crazy. Norwegian fans in New York doing yoga in Times Square. Then they turned the escalator into a Viking's lair. Rowing up together like a long ship headed home. Little boy in and out, now he won't leave alone. Oh, welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on stadiums the same way that they do. An NFL star grabbed a trash bag, joined the whole crew. Mexico and South Korea, best friends on the street, dancing to Gangnam Style with their arms around each beat. Kansas learned Algerian, the marching band played their song. 500 Lawrence locals showed the world where you belong. Swedish fans went searching for the recipe to ranch. Frenchman says the air conditioning deserves its own whole stanza. English fans stood jaw-dropped at the first sight of Buc-ee's. Scottish fans at Fenway, Boston said please don't leave. Baki and the ranch dressing brisket by the pound. Best tournament the world has ever seen. And we're just getting wild. A bagpiper and a bucket drummer outside Faneuil Hall. Plaid kilt, wicker hat, playing music for us all. Different worlds, different words, different flags, different names. But when the whistle blows, we all come alive the same. From the Rockies to Rockefeller, from Seattle to the shore, America is telling the world, come on in. There's room for more. Hello! Welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on display. From Boston to LA, from Dallas to the sea, 80,000 voices, this is what it means to be free. Yeah. Welcome to the land, yeah, we're rolling out the door. Every street a stage, every stranger wanting more. The ball is in the air, and the whole wide world can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the land of the free. Hey! To the land of the free. Hey! From the people who came here and fell in love with the land, to the people who live here and reached out a hand. One beautiful game, and one beautiful truth. The whole world is welcome, and the whole world came through.
Man,
Dude, that was that was awesome.
Yeah, it was made for that. Well, happy birthday. Happy 250th birthday, America.
250. Let's go.
If you can keep it, you know what I mean, Jeff? So hopefully the best guys have a great 4th of July weekend. If you're outside the USA, thank you for joining us. Thank you for embracing us. Thank you for coming here and sharing your heritage. And man, it's it's quite an amazing feat, Jeff. So anything you want to say on this? We'll leave you guys with a video that we'll put full screen, and then we'll play us out of here. It's appropriate.
That's right. Want to give a quick shout out to everybody out there tuning in from all over the world. I see people from England, from Australia, from the US, from all over the place, which is amazing. And just appreciate you guys being here with us, supporting us, and a big, huge happy birthday celebration to the United States of America. 250 years without the US, the rest of the world, unfortunately, wouldn't exist quite the way it is today. So big thank you for this country and all the appreciative commentary also from people all over the world in our chat here that tuned in today. We had a decent group of people here, been a decent number. Big shout out to all the OGs, all of our regulars, and all the new people that have logged in today, because I saw a lot of new names filtering through the chat today, which is great to see. And if you're brand new here and you're still with us, because there's still a good group here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and that's it. Make sure you hit the notification too.
That's Allie. I did cut my hair. What used to look like that?
Holy cow, Jeff.
That was me last September. Looks like I was one of those 8.
Holy cow.
They couldn't leave the long hair behind. Yeah, I went from that to this.
Look at that.
Cleaned up. It's actually longer than it was. Remember, last time I got a cut, I got it shaved down pretty well. But that's one thing you will watch throughout the evolvement of this show. You will see Jeff's head stay exactly the same, and mine goes down, up, you know. So yeah, evolution of the hair. Yeah, Ali G. Thank you very much. We love our Aussies. Our Aussies are our second biggest support system out there. You guys are the second biggest audience. You guys are very close to first. You guys are patriots. You guys love your country. And we want nothing but the best for everybody, because one thing that brings people together is decentralization. Everyone believes in it. Decentralization is freedom. And what brings people together is we're not too different. We saw it with the World Cup here. We saw that people, when they're left to their own devices without governments involved, so we really like together. That's something that's an amazing thing. Yeah, damn, that was pretty bad. That was, yeah. As my wife said, she's like, "Oh, the homeless guy moved out. This is great." So, because the only time I'd wear it down in my man bun, or I'd have it like part of it down and part of it, and like how the soccer players wear it, the football players.
Yeah.
And when I cut it, she was like, "Oh my God, who is this man? Who is this?" So I said, "Okay." And the next thing, I grow a big beard. She's like, "No, let's not do that. Let's not do the big beard, But yeah, it's been a very There it is, right there. Where we go one, we go all. And if you know, you know. If you don't, that's okay. Look it up.
You don't.
But it was on JFK's bell that was on his boat. But it means a lot more than that. If you know, you know. Right? Triple Nurple. Beautiful. Great to see you. Great to see all of our people in here today. Much love to everybody. Thank you. I've had so many great celebratory messages coming from people outside the U.S. They know more about the U.S. and our politics than most, say lefties do, and we love that. So
it's amazing to me. Yeah,
it's amazing. In a way, harmonious world. We saw the last 7 elections in the South America, Central America turn to the right. Why? Because it's successful. Because you have growing. When you try to limit people, it doesn't work out. And when you try to, like what you're doing in Australia, we try what you're doing in the UK, in Germany, in France, doesn't work out. But you know what? There's a lot of hope on the horizon. And guys, we'll all get there together. You got to keep looking out for everybody. Thank you. Look at this, Jeff. You're looking pretty sharp. Look at that, Jeff.
Appreciate that. Look at that. Thank you.
Pretty sharp.
T-shirt and all.
Today, Chip. That's coming soon. Don't forget to smash the likes, guys.
Bad lighting.
The algorithm. We have been experiencing a lot of growth because of you guys. You've been sharing this out a lot, and guess what? We have an influx of growth. We've had the best growth numbers the last 2 months of the channel. We were dying. We're thriving again. Really appreciate you guys. And I'm going to leave this, and then after this video, we're going to cut it off. But stick around for this. This is the United States one of the armed forces bands, and this was Mount Rushmore yesterday. They also did an amazing rendition.
I wish I was there.
She did an amazing rendition of Sweet Child of Mine. They jammed it. They're very talented. But here we go. We're going to play this full screen, and then we'll get out of here. So Chip and Jeff, see you guys tonight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.